In the late Jurassic period, a world painted in shades of green and brown, under a vast, ancient sky, our story begins. This is the tale of a Stegosaurus named Spike. But Spike wasn't just any Stegosaurus. From the moment he hatched, there was something different about him. His backplates, which would one day become formidable shields, shimmered with a unique, coppery sheen in the sunlight. And his Thagomizer, the 4 deadly spikes on his tail, seemed sharper, more defined than his siblings. Spike grew up in a small herd, grazing peacefully in the sprawling fern prairies that bordered the dense cycad forests. His days were a gentle rhythm of munching on low-lying plants, basking in the warm sun, and learning the ways of the herd from his mother and the other adults. He learned which ferns were the sweetest, how to use his broad plates to regulate his body temperature, and the subtle signals that warned of danger: a sudden silence in the forest, the distant cry of a pterosaur, the trembling of the ground. But peace in the Jurassic was a fragile thing. The shadow of the predator was ever present. One evening, as twilight painted the sky in hues of orange and purple, that shadow fell upon Spike's herd. An Allosaurus, a fearsome carnivore with a reputation that preceded it, emerged from the tree line. It was a creature of nightmares, all teeth and claws, its eyes fixed on the youngest and most vulnerable members of the herd. Panic erupted. The Stegosaurus bellowed, forming a defensive circle, their tails swinging, a forest of lethal spikes. Spike, still a juvenile, was pushed towards the center, his heart hammering against his ribs. He watched in terror as the Allosaurus lunged, its powerful jaws snapping. He saw his mother, brave and defiant, step forward to meet the challenge. She swung her mighty tail, landing a glancing blow, but the predator was fast and relentless. In a flash, the Allosaurus sidestepped and lunged again, its target clear. It wasn't Spike's mother it wanted, but the smaller, defenseless young ones huddled behind her. In that moment, something ignited within Spike. It was a fire of instinct, of courage he didn't know he possessed. He broke from the safety of the circle, letting out a defiant roar that sounded surprisingly deep for his age. He charged, not with the mindless panic of a frightened juvenile, but with a purpose. He lowered his head and aimed for the Allosaurus's leg. The predator, surprised by this tiny, furious challenger, was momentarily distracted. It was the opening his mother needed. With a powerful arching swing, she brought her Thagomizer down with devastating force. The spikes found their mark, and the Allosaurus roared in pain and fury, retreating back into the shadows of the forest, wounded and defeated. That day changed Spike. He was no longer just a young Stegosaurus with shiny plates. He was a defender. He had tasted fear, but he had also tasted courage. The herd looked at him differently. There was a newfound respect in their eyes. His mother nudged him gently, a silent acknowledgement of his bravery. As the years passed, Spike grew into a magnificent specimen. His copper plates were enormous, catching the light like polished shields. His tail, a weapon he had learned to wield with precision and skill, was a constant warning to any predator foolish enough to test him. He became the herd's guardian, their sentinel. He was always the first to sense danger and the last to retreat. His reputation spread through the ancient landscape. Other herbivores would often graze closer to Spike's herd, knowing that the great Stegosaurus with the coppery plates offered a measure of safety. He faced many threat packs of smaller carnivores, lone hunters, and the ever-present king of his time, the Allosaurus. Each encounter honed his skills, sharpened his instincts, and solidified his legend. One dry season, the world turned brittle and brown. Water became scarce, and the lush fern prairies withered under the relentless sun. The herds were forced to travel farther than ever before in search of sustenance. This long journey took them into unfamiliar territory, a rugged land of canyons and rocky outcrops. It was a dangerous place, a land that belonged to predators. Spike's herd was weary and thirsty. They finally found a river, a life-giving ribbon of water carving its way through a deep canyon. But as they descended the steep path to the riverbank, they realized they had walked into a trap. On the cliffs above, a pack of Allosauruses had been waiting. They were trapped, with the river at their back and a wall of teeth and claws in front of them. Panic began to set in, but Spike's bellow cut through the fear. He stood at the front, his body a fortress of bone and plate. He planted his feet, his massive tail slowly swaying, ready for battle. The other large males rallied behind him, forming a defensive line. The females and young ones huddled behind, their eyes wide with terror. The lead Allosaurus, a massive beast with a scarred snout, let out a chilling roar and charged. The battle that followed was epic. It was a clash of titans, a brutal dance of survival. The air was filled with roars, the clash of bodies, and the thud of powerful tails. Spike was a whirlwind of defensive fury. He moved with an agility that belied his size, his tail a blur of motion. He parried attacks, drove back lunging predators, and protected the vulnerable. He took wounds. A claw raked across his flank and teeth grazed his thick neck. But for every wound he received, he inflicted a greater one. His Thagomizer was a deadly pendulum, striking with bone-shattering force. He fought not just for himself, but for every member of his herd. He fought for the memory of his mother, for the promise he had made to himself all those years ago. The battle raged under the hot sun. The predators, realizing the cost of this meal was too high, began to falter. They were taking heavy losses. The scarred leader, nursing a severe leg injury from Spike's tail, gave a final frustrated roar and signaled the retreat. The pack melted back into the rocks, leaving the Stegosaurus herd battered, exhausted, but alive. They drank deeply from the river, their thirst quenched. They tended to their wounds, the adrenaline of the fight slowly fading. Spike stood watch, his body aching, but his spirit unbroken. He looked at his herd, his family, safe and sound. He had led them through the valley of death and emerged victorious. Spike lived a long and full life. He led his herd through countless seasons, through times of plenty and times of hardship. He saw generations come and go, teaching the young ones the same lessons his mother had taught him. His copper plates, now dulled with age and scarred with the marks of many battles, were a testament to a life lived with courage and purpose. When his time finally came, he lay down in a quiet grove of ferns, the same kind he had loved as a young hatchling. The sun warmed his old bones, and the familiar sounds of the Jurassic forest were a gentle lullaby. He closed his eyes, his long watch finally over. But the story of Spike, the great Stegosaurus with the coppery plates, did not end there. It became a legend, whispered on the wind, carried in the calls of the pterosaurs, a timeless epic of courage, of family, and of a hero who was more than just a dinosaur. He was a guardian, and his spirit, like the fossils he would one day become, endured through the ages. Thank you for joining us on this journey back in time. If you loved Spike's story, don't forget to hit that like button. Subscribe for more epic tales from the prehistoric world and share your thoughts in the comments below. We'll see you in the next video.